Right now, the landscape of the crypto market is changing. In my opinion, the days of the Wild West in crypto are coming to an end. As Bitcoin is getting integrated in traditional markets, we do see more regulation coming in. We do see that the government is starting to clamp down on the crypto industry as a whole. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Kevin Svenson, and today I want to discuss a few topics. I want to go over the price of Bitcoin. I want to talk some of the price targets I have for Bitcoin, where I plan to reaccumulate Bitcoin. I also want to discuss the drastic change of the landscape of the crypto market. I want to talk about why crypto is changing so much, why the altcoins are selling off, and why Bitcoin is regaining dominance. I want to talk about some of the reasons for this. I want to discuss the launch of Bakkt, the effects that this will have on crypto. I want to talk about why this will likely bring in a lot of regulation for crypto. I want to talk about some of the stablecoin projects that Binance is getting involved in, the Winklevoss twins getting involved in the Libra project, and I want to talk about where I think the traditional markets are headed in the near future. So starting off with the price of Bitcoin, Bitcoin has been on a parabolic trajectory. We did break through the parabolic trajectory recently in this area right here. This was the pivot point, breaking us out of the parabolic trend. And now we are sitting in a more bearish posture, I would say. We are seeing lower highs and more horizontal lows, putting us in what could be a descending triangle. So if you guys have been watching this channel for the past month or so, we've been looking for the creation of a descending triangle. We did find the horizontal support we were looking for, and we did find that lower high we were looking for. So the analysis is quite simple for Bitcoin right now. If Bitcoin can remain above the horizontal support and below the downward sloping resistance, then we would be creating a descending triangle, and we would likely break to my downside target of about $7,500 for a test of the golden retrace. And as you should know by now, this is a routine test for Bitcoin to make. On the last bull market, Bitcoin did test the golden retrace on every single one of these parabolic moves coming from the low to the high. Every single parabolic advance did result in the 618 golden retrace getting tested once again. And that is what we're looking like to do now. Looking from swing low to swing high, Bitcoin is looking to retest the golden retrace right now, doing a bit of a similar thing that Bitcoin has seen in the last bull market. If you're looking at this area here, when Bitcoin is on a parabolic advance and it does trade through the parabolic advance like we've done here, as I just pointed out, what we start to see is more horizontal lows and lower highs, and we eventually do get a breakdown of that formation. And when you get the breakdown, what you generally see is volume levels that exceed previous levels, just like this area here as well. When you get the breakdown after the horizontal lows and lower highs, you see volume levels that exceed previous levels. And on every parabolic advance, what you want to see is volume levels that exceed previous levels. So if Bitcoin is going to continue this upward trend and create a large scale bull market, if we are going to enter a trend that would look something like this, let me just go to log scale here. If Bitcoin does pull back to the golden retrace, which is a routine correction for Bitcoin to make, and creates a larger scale upward trend, what becomes very likely is that you break below the formation and you end up getting volume levels that exceed previous levels on the next low. So if we do break down in the way that I think we will, and if we do hit the golden retrace at about $7,500, then what we need to see is volume levels that exceed previous levels. And if we do get volume levels that exceed previous levels on this next low right here, then very likely that would put us into the next parabolic advance. And off the next low of the next parabolic advance, if we get volume levels that exceed previous levels, then at that point I would say we are likely due for another parabolic advance. So if Bitcoin does sell off and gets volume levels, gets bought up at the golden retrace, and we see volume levels that exceed previous levels, then that is likely setting us up for the next parabolic advance. And on the next low, if we get volume levels that exceed previous levels, that is likely setting us up for the next parabolic advance. Now, of course, if Bitcoin does instead break above the downward sloping resistance, and if we do retest our resistance points right here, In my opinion, if we don't get volume levels that exceed previous levels and we just break above the downward sloping resistance, in my opinion, that would put us in a position to create a pretty weak move. Very likely, we would end up just retesting the highs and pulling back to the horizontal support. I think if we break out of this formation to the upside without any significant increase in volume, then it's very likely that this next push to the upside won't be very long lasting and it'll probably be very short lived. And we would likely end up just selling off again anyway. So I think what's most likely here if Bitcoin is entering a long-term bull market is a breakdown below 9,100, a retest of the golden retrace. And of course, you want to see those volume levels exceed previous levels. And if you can get that, then very likely that is a sign, that is one of my requirements for Bitcoin to enter a longer term bull market. So I want to move on to the next topic right now, and that is the drastic change that the landscape of the crypto market is going through right now. What we see is all the top altcoins are losing dominance, selling off. A lot of altcoins in general are hitting lower lows right now, and Bitcoin is regaining dominance. So right now, it's pretty clear that the average investor is becoming smarter. We see a lot of moves moving. A lot of people are moving away from altcoins that quite literally have no use at all and are completely worthless and have no future. People are moving away from these altcoins and re-entering into Bitcoin. That is why we see Bitcoin regaining dominance. The average person in this market is becoming smarter over time. We do see a lot of value transferring away from useless projects back into Bitcoin. We see Bitcoin regaining dominance once again. And another thing to keep in mind is, Bitcoin is now seeing further integration into the traditional markets. We see the launch of Bakkt right now, which is physically settled Bitcoin future contracts. This is allowing institutions to get their hands on physical Bitcoin. And right now, the landscape of the crypto market is changing. In my opinion, the days of the Wild West in crypto are coming to an end. As Bitcoin is getting integrated in traditional markets, we do see more regulation coming in. We do see that the government is starting to clamp down on the crypto industry as a whole. Right now, we see the New York Attorney General filing a complaint against Bitfinex and Tether, allegedly that the companies defrauded New York investors by covering up an $850 million loss on the Bitfinex trading platform. The Attorney General went on here to say, the investigation has determined that the operations of Bitfinex trading platform, who also control Tether, the virtual currency, have engaged in a cover-up to hide the apparent loss of $850 million of commingled client and corporate funds. So my point here is as Wall Street becomes more involved in crypto, as institutions become more involved in crypto, we're going to see more regulation come in, right? And now institutions on Wall Street are going to be able to get their hands on Bitcoin. They previously weren't able to do that. They were not able to actually go to these unregulated exchanges and get involved in Bitcoin. Now institutions do have an on-ramp through Bakkt to get involved in the crypto industry. So this is likely going to incite a lot more regulation for crypto. And in my opinion, that is one of the reasons why the crypto market, the landscape of the market is changing right now. And we're seeing a move out of useless altcoins back into things like Bitcoin, of course. In my opinion, this is a positive for the market. Right now, if you just look at the market as a whole, everything is moving in the same direction, and this is a classic sign of a bubble. Now, I'm not saying that Bitcoin is in a bubble. Clearly, Bitcoin is not in a bubble. We're seeing a really nice bounce back right now, and Bitcoin is looking to create a larger scale uptrend, in my opinion. Even though I am short-term bearish, I do think overall Bitcoin is likely to enter a continued bull market. But right now, what I see here is that everything is still moving in the same direction, and this is a classic sign of a bubble. And what I'm saying is that the altcoins are in a bubble. We are seeing the bubble of the altcoins popping right now. When everything is moving in the same direction, that generally means there is no value. These coins are not being traded on value. What we're seeing is common waves of enthusiasm where everything goes up at once and everything goes down at once. And that is not a sign of true value. That is a sign of a lack of value and just pure speculation. So I think it's a positive thing that the altcoins are selling off and all of the value going from useless projects and re-entering into the top coins once again. I see that as a very positive thing for the space as a whole. The institutions that are going to get involved in Bitcoin through Bakkt are going to get their hands on actual Bitcoin. the futures will be settled in physical Bitcoin. So, and of course that comes with regulation. Also, what I find interesting is, we see a lot of altcoins selling off right now, and we see huge exchanges like Binance getting involved in projects that have to do with localized stablecoins worldwide. So as the altcoins sell off, we see that the big exchanges are starting to abandon altcoins as well and starting to move towards stablecoin projects. And we also see that Facebook is producing their own stablecoin as well, and the Winklevoss twins are getting involved in the Libra project. So, a lot of people always say follow the money. Well, the money is starting to leave the altcoins, come back into Bitcoin, and the money is starting to move into stablecoin projects. So we are now exiting the age of the Wild West, in my opinion, and entering the age of actual, true use and regulation for Bitcoin. So, a lot of people in the crypto space have been asking for adoption and have been asking for Wall Street's involvement in crypto. And, I think they're going to get it. And the result of it might not be exactly what they expect. I think that the prices in the crypto market are going to become a little bit more controlled. We're going to see things like Tether disappearing. And, a lot of the manipulation on these unregulated exchanges and, using, fake US dollars, fake fiat currencies such as Tether, a lot of the manipulation just won't be able to take place anymore as regulation comes into the space. Regulation is going to tame the market. In my opinion, what the average person in this market right now has been asking for with launching back and institutional money coming into the market, I don't think they really knew what they were asking for. But that's really just my opinion. I do think that Bitcoin is still on a long-term growth pattern, and I do think Bitcoin has a strong future. But that is just my opinion that, things will become a little bit more stable now, in my opinion, in this market with regulation. And overall, I think the way that the market is traded and the way that the prices are going to move in the future is going to have a drastic change as big institutions get their hands on this market. Also, real quick, I just want to talk about the traditional markets. Generally, in the traditional markets, when you get into areas like this, where you're remaining above an upward sloping trend line and you start to see lower lows and higher highs, and you trade through the upward sloping trend, that does incite a longer term downtrend, similar to this area right here, an upward sloping trend. You start to see lower lows, higher highs. We trade through the upward sloping trend and you see a longer term downtrend, similar to this area right here. An upward sloping trend, lower lows, higher highs. It is looking like we're looking to trade through the upward sloping trend, and that would incite a longer term correction, in my opinion. A lot of people are talking about a recession right now. And one thing to keep in mind is that Bitcoin was released right after the 2008 collapse, and Bitcoin has not experienced a correction like this since it has been released. So Bitcoin has only experienced upside in the traditional markets, and if we do trade through the upward sloping trend and get a longer term correction, this is uncharted territories for Bitcoin. And I think this time period right here will be a time period where institutions start to get their hands on Bitcoin. And once we come out of this recession, I think Bitcoin will be changed forever. But that is just my opinion. Of course, that is if we do enter a recession. But that is what I wanted to talk about today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, definitely hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. So as you guys know, I've been using CryptoWatch for the past couple of years now because it is the only thing I need to use. I can chart on this platform. I can trade on this platform. I can access all the top exchanges on this platform and trade from them. I can also trade any asset listed on any of the top exchanges, all from this platform. So if you guys have any interest in signing up with CryptoWatch, definitely use my affiliate links below if you want to support the channel. That is going to be it for me today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you all in the next video.